Ordering rules is a fundamental skill on the LSAT. How do we make these connections? Look for shared variables. For example, the variable m appears in rules 3 and 4, so we can combine those using m. We'll redraw rule 3 and then add t from rule 4 using a single diagonal line. L appears in rules 2 and 3, so we can add rule 2 onto the combined diagram by drawing a diagonal line from L to J and then adding H before J. K appears in rules 1 and 3, so now we can add rule 1 onto the combined diagram by drawing diagonal lines, like the spokes of a wheel, from K backward to P and G. It's also important to notice which variables are not attached to each other on our combined diagram. Only variables that are connected by an unbroken chain of lines going in a single direction can be said to have an ordering relationship. Think of it like a train route. If you get on the right-bound train at G, so to speak, you can take it to K and then to M. But to get from M to T, the train would have to turn around and go the other way, putting you on the left-bound route. So G and T don't have an ordering relationship. In fact, T only has an ordering relationship with M. One more example. If you get on the right-bound train at H, you can travel to the right to J, but you'd have to turn around and get on the left-bound train to get to L. Therefore, H doesn't have an ordering relationship with L, meaning H can go either before or after L. Next, let's use the combined diagram to make some deductions on your base diagram. Alright, first of all, notice how M and J are the only variables that don't have to be harvested before another variable. In other words, there are no variables directly connected to M or J on their right-hand side of the diagram. That makes them the only possible options for the farthest right slot in the game, slot number 8. We'll mark that down on our base diagram. Next, let's place some restrictions on the base diagram to represent variables that cannot be placed in each slot. We'll diagram these restrictions by crossing out a variable below the slot. It doesn't matter which side of the diagram you start from, as long as you eventually look at how every variable is restricted in both directions, to its left and to its right. We'll start with the variable that has the most must-come-after relationships, which happens to be M. M is harvested after T, and also after K, which is after P, G, and L, so M can't go in the first 5 slots, leaving M with only 3 possible places. K must come after P, G, and L, so K can't go in the first 3 slots. J comes after H and L, so J can't go in the first 2 slots. Now let's go the other direction and diagram must come before relationships. T and K both come before M, so we know that T and K can never go 8th, but the 8th slot is already filled up with a JM option, so we don't need to diagram a restriction there as well. If there are only 2 options, a restriction for every other variable is implied. H comes before J, so H also can't go 8th, but just like with T and K, that's already implied by the option in slot 8. P and G, on the other hand, both come before K, which comes before M. That means if you put either P or G in 7, you wouldn't have room for both K and M to go after them. So we can restrict both P and G from slot 7. L comes before J and comes before K, which comes before M, so L needs to leave room for 3 variables on the right-hand side of the diagram. That means L is restricted from slot 6 and 7, and, of course, the restriction from slot 8 is already implied.